coupled with the groups that we run in the evenings. We do anger management, violence prevention, male empowerment. I mean, we do, again, the intense level of services that I don't believe any other agency, and I'm going to say this on the air, can touch us, and I'm going to boast here because we've had a good success rate. When you talk about youth empowerment and you mention it in circles, we're finding that folks are knocking on the door wanting us to provide greater level of services or expand. And I know Melissa's going to talk a little bit about, us managing and making sure we don't stretch our mission to really stretch for the dollars.
Okay, but and when you say case managers, who are these people? What are their qualifications? How do they become case managers?
All of our youth advocates are actually individuals from the community, African American men, and we have a female youth advocate who's African American from the community, have some background and training in criminal justice, social work, have worked in the court system, understands the mindset of some of the youth in the facility, as well as have gone through different formalized trainings, advancing youth development trainings that have been put on by programs and national organizations to train individuals in this field. We do a number of ongoing trainings with them so that they are engaged and understand some of the complexities that the youth experience.
So you don't have like a set thing like you have to have a certain letters behind your name exactly. You just have to kind of know what's going on.
No, and I think that we've been very intentional about our hiring, and our youth advocates are young people who have grown up in very similar circumstances to our young people, and they can relate to them and understand the struggles and the hurdles they've been through. We do, however, know that we have a supportive structure at our office. We have clinical social workers. We have graduate level social workers. We have our director of educational services. We have our director of administration. We have myself. We have a very we have a deep breadth of experience that covers both practical, educational, and life experience, and I think we value all of those the same. And we recognize that oftentimes our young people want to look at young people and look up to young people who are very authentic to them, and they believe too that they can make good choices, give back to their communities, be successful professionals, and help other people. And our model is very unique in that way. That one thing I wanted to touch on earlier was when we'd started this model, actually our initial director of case management had done a lot of research about exactly what you were talking about, evidence-based practices, looking at best practices nationally, what's working, how can we bring that to New Orleans, how can we ensure that we're being culturally competent and meeting the needs of this very unique community and the kids we're working with. And again, what we found is a huge cost savings in terms of investing on the front end, in terms of prevention programs, education programs, even juvenile reentry programs, as opposed to what folks often do, which is invest on the deep end, which is in incarceration. And again, in these tough financial times, we all need to be smart. And what that means is investing in programs like YEP, investing in after-school programs, investing in summer programs, investing in quality educational programs, as opposed to investing more money in the long run, which is actually going to be of greater cost to taxpayers.
It makes me crazy.
Right. Well, just looking at the website, I could see it's a very well put together website. I can see that y'all have a large plethora of sponsors, one of which I noticed
plethora?
was yeah. Wow. Big word, huh?
That's right.
That must be a whole bunch of them, right?
Yeah, a whole bunch of them. And one of them, Dr. Phil, gave y'all a grant. And also through No Play.
Dr. Phil, the guy that almost treated Britney Spears when she ended up breaking down.
Wow. And
I love him. He writes good books.
And
they're on my level.
Through No Play, y'all are partners with Tulane Tower Learning Center. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Actually, the Tulane Tower Learning Center is a really, really exciting initiative that we started back in 2007. It's a joint partnership between Criminal District Court, Delgado Community College, and the Youth Empowerment Project. And it's located across from the criminal courthouse. For all intents and purposes, it's actually a program of Criminal District Court, and it's a program to provide defendants with educational as well as referral and other supportive services. So, YEP through our New Orleans Providing Literacy to All Youth, or No Play program, we address the needs of the younger students who maybe have dropped out of school or not been successful or been pushed out of school for whatever reason, 16 to 24. And Delgado has one of their community sites there, so they also provide GED services to generally an older, more mature population. And then Criminal District Court continues to refer and to provide us with financial support also for that program. So we actually have serviced No Play ourselves this year, over 600 students through that program. We've had 36 GED graduates this year, and we have over an 80% success rate for those we refer to take the GED test. So we're really seeing great things happening, and we're really helping folks to get a foundation to be successful, self-sufficient adults.
So if I'm like, I got caught smoking pot and they put me on 2 years probation and I got to pay all these probation fees and stuff into all these court slush funds, at least some of that money is really going to some really good stuff, because Criminal District Court is stepping to the plate and giving you guys some money to help operate this program.
Yeah, and we can say nothing but great things about
That's
Criminal
great.
District Court. They've been extremely supportive, and they really believe in the value of education and recognize the close correlation between a lack of education and involvement in the criminal justice system. And so often what we find is if we give folks or help folks get the skills and give them the education they need, they will be successful and that much more able to find employment so they can take care of themselves and their families. And that's ultimately our goal, is to create happy, self-sufficient, employed adults who are able to take care of themselves and their families.
Yeah, and I mean, no one likes, exposing incompetence and corruption and government mismanagement, more than I do, but we keep stumbling into these, incidents of brilliance kind of growing up in our community. Last week we had Judge Landry here, and they've started the homeless court, where they're kind of tailoring things to help homeless people get hooked up and taken care of the right way in the legal system, because they're a little different. And now, and I mean, for those of you who are paying out there, if you're paying the money in, and I hear it all the time, because I do criminal defense, they're like, it's all about the money, and all they care about is the money. I never really think that much about what they're doing with it. But here's an incident where they're spending money, and they're spending on something that is of value in our community, and it's coming back. They're not spending it on better cars. They're not blowing it on high-paying jobs for their girlfriends or whatever. And I think the community, in that sense, is really, I'm seeing as the years are going by after Katrina, is really starting to do some wonderful things in New Orleans and show some incredible common sense that is not typical of governments. I'm not going to try to clear them totally here, but
no. And one thing again about the fiscal component, we had actually been doing some work around State Department of Education adult education cuts. So we brought a group of young people, about 30, up to Baton Rouge, and we turned it into a civics lesson and a field trip, and they got to go around and meet some of our local legislators. And some of the numbers that the Literacy Alliance of Greater New Orleans had ran and come up with after collecting data was that the state of Louisiana is paying around $38, I believe, per year for every adult education student enrolled in a program, and over $40 a day. So again, if we look at the choices we're making in terms of investment, it would be that much smarter of us to really start saying, hey, if we can get folks to get a GED, if we can get them into vocational school, if we can get them into college, if we can allow them to become self-sufficient and employed, it's such a huge cost savings in the long run. And I think we really need to take a look again at government's role and where are we putting our dollars, and are we spending them smartly?
Smart has been the hallmark of Louisiana government over the years.
No, but we need to get smarter. And
it's been like when you think of smart, you think of New Orleans City Hall, or you think of Baton Rouge, it's just, but it looks like some people are making that happen. I think the thing with children has always been a pet peeve of mine, because I am so not against people when they get older getting all their medical bills paid and having Social Security. I think it's a wonderful thing. Up against a background where children don't get everything they need, it makes no economic sense, though, because when you invest in a child, I think everyone, in our community, our listeners, I think we're in touch with this. If I can fix you if you're broken when you're young, or if you need a little direction, that pays off for decades and decades. I don't know how our society ever got to the point where the first people that seem to get cut are the kids. Yeah, I mean, we're always harping on this show about like the mentally ill, but I mean, actually, kids take a lot of hits too. I guess because they, it's the people that can't vote, but it's from an economic standpoint, dollars and cents.
I agree.